By 46 AC, 2 of Maegor's wives were dead. His third, Lyanna of Pentos, was suspected to be barren. This meant that the king had no named heir. The Iron Throne would then pass to his brother's eldest surviving son, Jaehaerys. It was past time for him to take a new wife. Maegor's councillors agreed, but they parted ways on who this wife should be. Grand Maester Benefer suggested a match with the Lady of Starfall, Costain, in hopes of detaching her lands and house from Dorne. Alton Butterwell, Master of Coin, offered his own widowed sister, a stout woman with 7 children. Though no beauty, her fertility had clearly been proven beyond doubt. The king's hand, Lord Celtigar, had 2 young maiden daughters, 13 and 12 years of age. He urged the king to take his pick. Lord Velaryon of Driftmark advised Maegor to send for his niece, the Princess Rhaena, the widow of Aegon the Young Crowned. By taking her to wife, Maegor could unite the rival claims and prevent any fresh rebellions by her mother, the Queen Alyssa. Taking Aenys' daughter to wife would weaken any claims put forward by her younger siblings. After the death of Aegon and her flight to Fair Isle, Rhaena Targaryen had acted quickly to protect her twin daughters. If Prince Aegon had truly been the king, his eldest daughter, Arya, could claim to be the rightful queen. However, Arya and her sister, Rhaella, was still barely a year old, and Rhaena knew that such a claim would be to condemn them to death. She dyed their hair, changed their names, and sent them from her, entrusting them to certain powerful allies. Rhaena did not want to know where the girls were going. She insisted what she did not know she could not reveal, even under torture. Rhaena Targaryen would not be able to escape her fate. Though she could change her name, dye her hair, garb herself in the robes of a scepter, there was no disguising her dragon. Dreamfire was a slender, pale blue dragon with silvery markings who had already produced 2 clutches of dragon eggs, and Rhaena had been riding her since the age of 12. Instead, the princess ran as far away from Maegor as she could, to Fair Isle, where Marc Farman granted her hospitality, and there she rested, reading, praying, wondering how long she'd be given, before her uncle sent for her, because Rhaena never doubted that he would. The summons came sooner than she would have liked, though not as soon as she might have feared. There was no question of defiance. That would only bring the king's wrath down on Fair Isle. Rhaena had grown fond of Lord Farman, and more than fond of his second son, Andro. She mounted Dreamfire and flew to the Red Keep, where she learned that she must marry her uncle, her husband's killer. And there as well, Rhaena met her fellow brides, as this was to be a triple wedding. Lady Jane of House Westerling had been married to Alan Tarback, who died with Prince Aegon in the battle beneath the God's Eye. A few months later, she had given her late husband a son. She was tall and slender, with brown hair. The second was Lady Eleanor of House Costain. Though only 19, Lady Eleanor had already given her former husband 3 sons when the king's eyes fell upon her. Her husband, Sir Theoballing, was arrested by the Kingsguard and charged with conspiring with Queen Alyssa to murder the king, who was found guilty and beheaded the same day. King Maegor gave the widow 7 days to mourn, then summoned her to tell her they would marry. Meanwhile, at the town of Stony Sept, Septon Moon denounced King Maegor's wedding plans, and hundreds of townfolk cheered him on, but on the whole, few others dared to raise their voices against the king. In 47 AC, Maegor Targaryen took 3 wives in the ward of the Red Keep. The common people of King's Landing came to call them the Black Brides, as all 3 were widows. The presence of Lady Jane's son, Lady Eleanor's 3 boys at the wedding, ensured they would play their parts in the ceremony, but there were many who expected some show of defiance from Princess Rhaena. However, this never came to be, as Queen Tyanna appeared escorting 2 young girls with silver hair and purple eyes, clad in the red and black of House Targaryen. Tyanna had found the twins. Rhaena bowed her head and spoke her vows in a voice cold as ice. In the aftermath of the wedding, Maegor declared Rhaena's daughter, Arya, his lawful heir until such a time he had a child of his own. Her twin, Rhaella, was sent to Oldtown to be raised as a scepter. His nephew, Jaehaerys, the rightful heir by all the lords of the 7 kingdoms, was expressly disinherited in the same decree. Half a year later, it was announced that Queen Jane was with child. Hardly a week later, it was revealed that Queen Eleanor was also pregnant. Maegor showered both the women with gifts and honours, and granted new lands and offices to their fathers, brothers and uncles. But his joy was short-lived. 3 months before she was due, Queen Jane had a sudden onset of labour pains and gave birth to a stillborn child as monstrous as the one Alice Harroway had birthed, a legless, armless creature. Nor did the mother long survive the child. Common folk had begun to say Maegor was cursed. He had slain his nephew, made war against the faith and the High Septon, defied the gods and committed murder, incest and adultery. Many said the gods would never grant him a living son. Maegor himself settled on a different explanation, and the Kingsguard to seize Queen Tyanna and deliver her to the dungeons. The Pentoshi Queen made a full confession as the king's torturers readied their tools. She had poisoned Jane Westerling's child in the womb, just as she had Alice Harroway's. She promised it would be the same with Eleanor Costain's unborn child. Maegor slew her himself, cutting out her heart with black fire and feeding it to his dogs. But even in death, Tiana of Pentos had her revenge. As she had promised, in the black of night, Queen Eleanor too was delivered a malformed and stillborn child, an eyeless boy born with rudimentary wings. By now it's 48 AC, the 6th year of Maegor's reign. No man in the Seven Kingdoms could doubt that the king was cursed. The followers still remaining to him began to melt away. Word reached King's Landing that Sir Joffrey Dogger had been seen entering Riverrun as a guest of Lord Tully. Samson Moon appeared once more, leading thousands of faithful on a march across the Reach to Old Town. Lord Caldrogar resigned as hand of the king, and reports on the Dornish marches suggested that the Dornishmen were gathering in the passes, preparing to invade. However, for Maegor, the worst blow came from Storm's End. Lord Rhaegar Baratheon proclaimed young Jaehaerys Targaryen to be the true and lawful king. Jaehaerys then named Lord Rhaegar Protector of the Realm and Hand of the King. The prince's mother, Queen Alyssa, and his sister, Alysanne, as Jaehaerys' unsheathed dark sister, and vowed to end the reign of his usurping uncle. Prince Jaehaerys was only 14 years old when he claimed the throne, a handsome youth, skilled with a lance and longbow, and a gifted rider. He rode a great bronze and tan dragon called Thermafor, and his sister Alysanne, 12, commanded her own dragon, Silverwing. They soon added a third dragon. When Jaehaerys' elder sister, Rhaena Targaryen, mounted Ringfire and flew to join him, abandoning the uncle she had been forced to marry, she took her daughter Arya and Blackfire, the Sword of Kings, stolen from the king's own scabbard while he slept. King Maegor's response was slow and confused. He commanded all his leal lords and bannermen to gather at King's Landing. Finding Princess Arya gone, he sent a rider to Old Town to demand the head of her twin sister, Rhaella, to punish their mother for her betrayal, but Lord Hightower imprisoned the messenger. 2 of his Kingsguard vanished one night to go over to Jaehaerys' side, and another, Sir Owen Bush, was found dead. Lord Velaryon of Driftmark was among the first to declare for Jaehaerys. As the Velaryons were the realm's traditional admirals, Maegor woke one morning to find he'd lost the entire royal fleet. The Tyrells of Highgarden followed, with all the power of the Reach. Then, the Lannisters of Castle Rock, the Arryns of the Eyrie, one by one, they all came out against the king. In King's Landing, many lesser lords gathered. Among them, Lord Darklyn of Duskendale, Lord Massey of Stonedance, Lord Towers of Harrenhal, and Lord Stoughton of Rook's Rest, among dozens more. Yet they commanded a little over 4,000 men between them. Maegor brought them together in the Red Keep one night to discuss his plan of battle. When they saw how few they were, and realised that no great lords were coming to join them, many lost heart and fled, with some going as far to suggest the king should abdicate and take the Black. But Maegor would not hear it, and put any man to speak of such treasons to death. They worked all day and all night planning. In the hour of the wolf, when Maegor at last allowed them to take their leave, the king remained behind, brooding on the Iron Throne. As they departed, Lord Towers and Lord Rosby were the last to see Maegor. Hours later, as dawn was breaking, the last of Maegor's queens came seeking after him. Queen Eleanor found him still upon the Iron Throne, pale and dead, his robes soaked through with blood. His arms had been slashed open from wrist to elbow, and another blade had gone through his neck to emerge beneath his chin. Many, to this day, believe the Iron Throne itself killed him. Maegor was alive when Rosby and Towers left the throne room, and the guards at the door swore that no one entered afterwards until Queen Eleanor made her discovery. Some say it's the Queen herself who forced him down onto the blades to avenge the murder of her first husband. Or the Kingsguard might have done the deed, but that would have required them to act together, as there were 2 knights posted at each door. It might also have been a person or persons unknown, entering and leaving the throne room through some hidden passage, as the Red Keep has its secrets known only to the dead. It might also be as simple that the king tasted despair in the dark watches of the night and took his own life, twisting the blades as needed and opening his veins to spare himself the defeat and disgrace that was surely awaited him. The reign of Maegor Targaryen, known to history and legend as Maegor the Cruel, lasted 6 years and 66 days. Upon his death, his corpse was burned in the yard of the Red Keep, ashes interned afterwards on Dragonstone beside those of his mother. He died childless and left no heir.